Well, they oversee things like the lottery, the airport authority, Access Health Connecticut. I'm talking about quasi-public agencies here in our state. There have been investigations into some of them when it comes to how they handle their money and their transparency. So do they have enough oversight here in Connecticut? My guest right now has a few opinions on that, to say the least, is Senator Fasano. He is the Republican leader, been serving Durham, East Haven, North Haven, and Wallingford in the 34th District since 2003. Thanks for joining us on Face the Facts, Senator.
Thank you for having me.
We appreciate you. The Port Authority, as we know, is a quasi-public agency. A report came out this week talking about how they're running their business down there. They're in charge of a $100 million upgrade on the State Pier in New London. What does this report tell you after you read it?
Well, the report tells me that there are no safeguards or guidelines on how to run that agency. Credit cards have no limitations on how they're used. So they haven't put any of those measures in or bookends in to say this is how we're going to run it, and we're going to run it efficiently. And what it has been found, not only by the auditors of the state of Connecticut, but by the comptroller, Kevin Limbaugh, is that there are a lot of problems in this Port Authority. And we need to have a public hearing to figure it out, not only to bring assurances to the people of the state of Connecticut we're on top of this, but also we're going to learn from this because there are other agencies, as you said, who are running amok,
right,
and we need to get a handle on them.
I mean, we've had scandals in the Lottery Commission. There's been investigations there. Should the rules be changed? How do we change the rules regarding quasi-public agencies? The advantage is they can manipulate faster than going through all the red tape of government, right?
Correct. And I think that flexibility and the ability to manipulate faster certainly is a good reason to have quasis. For over 4 or 5 years, I've been talking about the need to get a handle on these quasis. And every time I put in a bill, the Democratic majority has rejected the bill either sometimes before public hearing or shortly thereafter. But I will say Governor Lamont has brought the leaders together on both sides of the aisles, taken legislation I've put in and others, and he's crafting something hopefully for February 1st.
Okay.
Even if that goes forward, we still have to look back on this Port Authority, as we did with the Lottery Commission, and say, let's fix this. Let's find the problems and hold people accountable.
What would you like to see? Regular balance sheets? Do you want to see receipts? Like, what should change other than what's happening now?
Well, one, there has to be more reporting to the overseeing committee of the legislature. I think contracts should be reviewed by the Attorney General's office, not by the council that they hire. I think any contracts over a certain amount of money should be in front of the committee of the legislature to approve. I think salaries should be approved. Anything over $100,000 salary should be approved. If you look at the salaries, like at the Green Bank, they're very high salaries because they all know each other. So no one's going to say, I'm going to give you a little bit more.
That's too much or that's too
Yeah, right. They all kind of, get together. So I think that anything over $100,000 should be viewed, and any salary increase more than 15% should be viewed. So I think those are just reasonable guidelines to start get control.
Have you gotten any pushback from either other members of the state legislature or even some people in these?
I've been getting pushback all over the place from every direction because they don't want this oversight. They don't like the oversight. On the Green Bank, they actually have a commission. So you get paid a salary and you get a commission. You get a commission to do your job. I don't fully understand that. So that is the problems I think we need to look at.
Are there reasons where a certain situation we should not allow a quasi to run a specific task?
I think there are certain governmental functions which are unique to government that are really more policy-driven and not trying to get private industry involved or trying to put different private sectors involved. That's where a quasi should come in. Mm-hmm. But health issues give me a little concern because that's more policy-driven.
All right, let's talk transportation. We all know roads, rails, airports. Basically, the can has been kicked down the road for years.
Yes.
Bridges are falling apart. Are we going to see a special session to try to get something done as far as a plan moving forward, do you think, before we...
Well, special session can only be called a few ways. One, the governor can call it any time the governor wishes.
Yep.
There can be a petition by 51% of the House and the Senate, and then the leaders have to call us in relative to that petition, or the leaders can get emergency certification. Right now, there is not one scheduled. The governor's releasing his plan maybe this week coming up. We'll see it. He has met with Senate Republicans in the last few days to go over the details of his plan. That's a courtesy that I think we extended the governor because he is the governor.
Right.
So I have reviewed those plans, and so have my colleagues. We have a lot of questions. There's a lot of data we have to look at, and some more information we have to drill down on. He has tolls in there.
Yep.
I think it's been reported, so I'm not saying anything I shouldn't. I think there are 14 tolls
right.
just over bridges. I'm not a toll proponent. I don't like tolls, but I want to drill down the numbers to see if there's another way of doing it. I think it's too early to say if we'll have session.
And moving forward with the application for federal loans would be part of the deal too?
Correct. I think the idea is that we have something called TIFIA and RIFIA, I think it is the name, or REEF, where it's railroad and traffic, and we get 2.2% to as low as 0.8% interest rate, where right now we're doing 5.2% to 6%. So it's a significant rate decrease, which means within the money that we allot for the principal and interest, we could borrow more.
Would you argue that the borrowing would be maybe 80% of what we need to fix what we need to fix, and then maybe the tolls might take care of 20%? Could you give a percent?
Well, you could only borrow on TIFIA, which is the roads and the bridges, up to 48%, and the rest you have to come with yourself.
Got it. Senator Fasano, we appreciate your time.
Thank you very
Thanks
much.
for joining us on
Appreciate it.
Face the Facts this morning. Still ahead on Face the Facts. So you